In late October of 2010, Ursula and I embarked on another trip to Switzerland. Ursula had just finished a harrowing session of chemotherapy and her doctor advised us to go on this holiday as soon as possible. Thanks to the generosity of Dave and Antoinette Muller, our neighbors and friends, we traveled in business class of Singapore Airways. And what a difference this made. We arrived totally relaxed at destination, where after collecting our bags and small rental car, we headed for Geis in the Appenzeller land, where Dora, Ursi's sister, was waiting for us. The following morning we enjoyed a lovely breakfast in the very cozy surrounds of Dora's home. It is very easy to overindulge on all the cheese, bread, honey, etc. But one has to restrain itself from it or bear the consequences later on. Winter brings not only joy to the homeowners in Europe, there is extra work, especially when the snow falls all day and night.
Das sind dort der ganze Platz jetzt vor dem Haus durchschoren. Ja. Oh,
if one doesn't then go outside to clear the snow off your doorsteps and drive several times during the day, you very quickly will find yourself in an awful lot of trouble. I offered to do this job for Dora while staying with her, and knowing that it was only lasting a short time, I quite enjoyed doing it. After 3 days in Geis, we then left for Gunten in central Switzerland, where we had a holiday flat for use. This was on Lake Thun in the canton of Bern. There we had no snow, in fact the weather was lovely and quite warm for this time of the year. This lovely flat we were allowed to stay in belonged to the Janssens in Langnau, dear old friends of the Stucki family. From there I had arranged to meet up with Hans-Peter, a former school friend and neighbor's boy, and together we wanted to enjoy the market day in Langnau, our old hometown. This event has an age-old tradition. For many centuries the local farmers and traders meet about 5 times per annum to exchange goods and livestock. It is also a great opportunity for people to meet each other on this rather festive day. No sooner had I arrived, I bumped into an old schoolmate. I had not seen him for over 50 years. Quite amazing. Shortly after, I met Hans-Peter, and after a hearty lunch in an old inn, together with a cousin of his, enjoyed a stroll to the busy marketplace. We had a great time talking of the old times when we were boys here. Long before 6 a.m. we used to line up at the railway station, equipped with bike trailers and small carts, to offer a fare to the incoming traders with their loaded suitcases. This was the only way to earn some money, which was ever so quickly spent on a toy or some sweets. And time just passed ever so quickly. All too soon we had to say goodbye, but pledged that we would meet again sometimes here in our hometown. A couple of days later, we went to Heidi, Ursi's oldest sister, who lives in Mount Bellerin, high above Lake Geneva, from where one has spectacular views over the lake and the Savoy Alps across in France.
Yes, where are you going? You're going for lunch,
To the railway station.
Okay. Das ist ja wie im Frühling.
Ja.
Gell? Alle? Wunderschön.
Heidi had invited us to a local restaurant where we enjoyed a traditional meal with bratwurst and rösti. It was absolutely delicious.
Der Rösti und Bratwurst.
The following day we travelled along this great lake to Dardini in the canton of Geneva, where a cousin of Ursi lives with her wine-grower husband in an old family business full of tradition. After a most delicious lunch, topped with the best red out of the wine cellar of the Hutins, we were given a guided tour over their vineyard, with one half in Switzerland and with the other in France. Tell me now.
I am en France et en Suisse.
Okay.
C'est français et ça c'est suisse.
Ah, ça c'est bien
Qu'est-ce
fait.
que tu veux?
Into France, and the other side it's F for Greece. Huh?
Voilà.
Pop, if you look, you see the line is not straight. That's because that's the natural curve of the border between France and Switzerland. So to say, but there's still tons and tons of blue grapes in that yard here. They're working here. Hard at work, eh? Later, we walked through the dainty old village, a place full of history. Same with the old castle, which now houses the council offices and the school. It's also very popular for wedding celebrations. We had a lovely time in Dardini and hope to see more of it at some other time. The next day, we were back in the canton of Bern. This time in the town of Langenthal. A family reunion with most of my cousins and their spouses was on the itinerary. Let's go and see them. Dort hinten hocken wir, that's where we are. So einisch. Grüße. In der Zwischenzeit ist das recht lustig geworden da. Ne? This reunion with the Moser and Schertenleib kids from my mother's side of the family has become a bit of a tradition in itself. It's usually accompanied with happiness and lots of laughter when the days of common childhood experiences are tabled. May we have many more of those days. Winter was on its way and it became colder every day. Our holidays were coming to an end fast, but not before we had another reunion, this time a special one for Ursi with her former classmates. We stayed for 2 nights at Robert, Ursi's brother and wife, and from there we went to the Siblinger Höhe, a popular restaurant where her old pals had arranged to meet. This is a beautiful restaurant on top of the Klettgau. This too turned up to be a very enjoyable afternoon, so close to the German border. And I have to say that her old class is a very interesting bunch of people to be with. What's the story? Them too we hope to see again soon. This is all classmates, the organizer. Later, after a good night's sleep and an equally good breakfast, we departed for Geis, our final destination of our Swiss holidays. Arriving there at almost 1,000 meters above sea level, the weather had turned quite beautiful. That warm alpine wind was blowing, and once again I found myself with an old-fashioned brush in hand cleaning the backyard. It was a Sunday morning, the church bells were ringing and most people were there, and I did my best. That's a beautiful machine, this. Unbelievable, look at that. It is very important for the people in Switzerland to keep their backyards clean. Very important. The first morning after arriving in Geis, I had attempted to scrape all the eyes of the car windows, but the old scraper I used was damaged, and so was the car after I had finished with the job. All 5 windows were badly scratched. With my 1500 Swiss franc excess, I was a very worried man. Lucky for me, I found a glass repairer that was able to fix the worst of the damage for a mere outlay of 100 Swiss francs.
Was ich für ein Zeichen gemacht habe. Nein.
The poor young man had to work for over an hour in sleet and rain, and when he had finished the job, he only charged me 100 Swiss francs. Very relieved after this. The following morning, we had to depart for the airport in Zurich. We had a very lovely holiday, so late in the year. Ursula and I would like to thank all of our friends and family who had helped to make us feel so welcome in good old Switzerland that year. We shall return.